Hello and welcome to our third Lancashire Science Festival live science broadcast of the day. During our broadcast, we're going to be giving you guys a sneak peek of some of the amazing experiments that we've got as part of the Lancashire Science Festival. So the festival is taking place between the 27th and the 29th of June, so that's this week. The first 2 days are open to schools and are fully booked, but the Saturday is open to everyone. And the best thing about it is it's completely free. We've got loads of amazing shows, drop-ins and our amazing show floors where there's lots and lots of different things to do, and there'll be lots of things going on in the UCLan and RI Young Scientist Centre, which is where we are today. So I'm here with Sujata and Joe, who are the Young Scientist Centre team. Guys, can you tell me a little bit about what you're going to be doing during Saturday, please?
So on Saturday, we've got a range of different STEM activities, so science, technology, engineering and maths, people to come in and have a go at. And there's going to be a little bit of a team competition throughout the day to see who can be the winners overall.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds great. That's going to be a drop-in, isn't it? So anyone can come by any time. So, as I say, the Science Festival, if you would like to attend, please register beforehand. It's completely free, but you guarantee your place if you just visit the website and follow the instructions for registration. Now, Joe and Sujata are going to show you a very cool demonstration all about, is it the digestive system?
It is, yes.
It's quite appropriate, isn't it? It's nearly lunchtime.
Exactly. So I'm going to hand over to you guys. Enjoy the demo.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Liz. So, as Liz said, we are going to be talking about the digestive system. So we're going to look at what happens to food when it goes into your body and then what happens to it as it travels through your body. Now, I'm well known for needing to eat breakfast, aren't I?
Absolutely.
And I need a nice big breakfast. So we're going to look at the foods that I have for my breakfast this morning and see what happens to them as they get processed. So first off, in my multi-course breakfast, I tend to start with...
Coffee. You always have coffee.
Yes, coffee. I do have to have coffee in the morning. So what I've got here is a pestle and mortar, and this is going to act as my mouth today. So we're going to put a little bit of coffee into my mouth. Okay, definitely have to start with coffee. And then I like a bit of cereal, okay? And this morning I had Weetabix. So in this bowl here, I've got my Weetabix.
Wow, you eat 3 Weetabixes.
Well,
big
I
breakfast.
need energy, you know. I need energy to be able to work in this great place and do all the science that we do. So I just put a little bit of milk onto my Weetabix. And break it up a little bit with my spoon. So using my spoon, obviously, the Weetabix is going to go into my mouth. And when your food gets into your mouth, of course, you have to start chewing. And that's the whole point of us having teeth. Okay, it's to chew up our food and to break it down into smaller pieces, because the whole point of digestion is to break down our food to get out of it the nutrients that we need to help our bodies do what it needs to do. So our pestle and mortar is going to act like teeth and going to mush up our food, okay, to get it nice and mushy and small enough to go down the next organ within our digestive system, which is our esophagus. Oh. Now, we have a volunteer over here, our skeleton. Now, we do actually need a name for our skeleton, so if anybody wants to comment on the video and suggest a name for the skeleton, please go ahead and do that. Yeah. But Sujata's going to show you where the esophagus is.
So the esophagus is the pipe in our throat. It's kind of this pipe here, okay? Quite a longish tube. So it goes straight from the back of the mouth and down into our body cavity. It's this bit here.
Okay, so we need to get our food from our mouth into our stomach. So Sujata, if you could just hold the bag for me. Okay, so our food needs to go down our esophagus.
Oh,
okay.
It's nice and small, easy to swallow.
Absolutely. And so that's now gone down into our stomach, which is the next organ along in the digestive system. Now, I don't just stop at cereal when I have my breakfast.
Let me guess, more coffee.
Yeah, we'll have more coffee, definitely. Okay. And then toast. Now, toast can be quite dry. I mean, I like Marmite on my toast.
Yeah, I'm a jam person all the time.
Okay, I do quite like peanut butter and jam as well. Okay, so toast can be a little bit dry, and your mouth produces something to help to moisten the food And this also will then help it slide down your esophagus into your stomach. And that thing is saliva. So it's a clear liquid, but it's not just water, it's not just a liquid, it's got some things in it called enzymes. And it's got a specific enzyme in it called amylase. And amylase starts to break down starch, which is one of the major groups of nutrients that's in our food. And it breaks down starches into sugars. And you can actually test this out. If you put a piece of bread in your mouth or a piece of pasta and you chew it for about 5 minutes without swallowing, make sure there's plenty of saliva in there, you keep chewing for 5 minutes, you will see that you will taste that it starts going sweet. And that is the amylase breaking the starch down into sugar.
Right, so something like toast or pasta that's got no sugar or honey or syrup on it.
Absolutely.
If I keep chewing it, it's going to taste sweet.
It will do, yes.
Oh, definitely going to have to try that at
I
home.
might have a little bit more toast. I was a bit hungry this morning. Okay, so we've got our toast in there. Bit more coffee. Okay, and our teeth are chewing that up. And then we obviously need to swallow, so it goes down our esophagus and into our stomach to join the rest of the food that's in there. So thank you, if you could do the honours and hold it for me. There we go. So we're swallowing the food.
Lovely toast and coffee.
Okay, there's one more thing I also have for breakfast.
A banana.
Bananas.
Wow.
Okay, so just to finish it off, just to keep me going till lunchtime.
Bit of fruit.
So teeth, break up the banana, bit more of a chew.
So you've got a really healthy, balanced breakfast here, Jo.
Absolutely, and you
Yeah.
know, it keeps me full for all morning. I don't need to snack. Okay, I'm going to use my fingers this time. Okay, but all of that banana goes down into the stomach.
Lovely.
So I've finished my breakfast now. And we have got all of the food that I've eaten and all the drink in my stomach, okay, which is represented by this plastic bag.
Yeah,
now the
which is
stomach,
here.
which is this organ just here, is just like a big bag, and it can expand slightly to accommodate more food. And when you get that really full feeling in your stomach, that's because it is getting full and it's expanded. But it's not just a bag. It also releases other liquids in there to help with the digestion process, because we've broken it down with our teeth, but now we need to start keeping it going and breaking the food down even further to get out the nutrients.
Right.
And when it's in the stomach, something called stomach acid is added. And I've got some acid in this flask here. Now it's red in colour because it's a very low pH, so we've put some universal indicator in it, which has gone red.
That's why acids on a pH scale go red.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So this is about pH 2, the pH of stomach acid. And this helps to digest the food, but also there is another enzyme in here which is going to help chemically break down the food. And it acts at a very, very low pH, and that's called Pepsin, and it starts to break down proteins in our food. So I'm going to add some stomach acid.
So we've got the amylase from the saliva breaking down the carbohydrate, and now we've got another enzyme called pepsin, and that's going to break down the proteins.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that's in there, and because the stomach is made of muscle, it contracts and it helps to squeeze all your food and mush it up, mix it up.
Okay, so your stomach is like a stretchy bag then?
It is,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it squashes it all up, mixes it all up.
So we can easily hold all the massive breakfast you've just eaten. Yeah?
Absolutely.
So it's an expandable stretchy bag.
And
Okay.
this goes on for a few hours. So the food that you've eaten will stay in your stomach for a couple of hours and be smushed up as part of the digestive
Yeah, 'cause that's quite
system.
small now, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah.
absolutely. You can see it's going nice and mushy. So once it's been in the stomach for a couple of hours, it's then going to go into the next organ, which is the small intestine. And as it goes into the small intestine, something else is added, and that other thing is bile. And I've got some bile just in this flask here. Now, bile is made in the gallbladder, which is just underneath the liver. And this contains quite a few different things. It contains something called an emulsifier. And we've got that represented in here with a little bit of washing up liquid, which is why it's got some bubbles on the top.
Oh,
And what that does,
What does emulsifier do then?
it helps the fats in our food mix in with the liquids, because fats and and water don't usually mix together very well, and then it just helps with the digestion process. It also has neutraliser in it. It's actually an alkali, which means that the acid from the stomach is neutralised, so it's not going to actually damage the small intestine when the digestive food goes into it.
Yeah.
So we're going to
So just going back to the acid then, you know, you said the stomach has this acid in it, and it's a really strong acid, it's a pH 2.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the stomach not damaged then by that strong acid?
Because it has a special lining. It has a lining that it secretes something called mucus, which actually helps to protect the actual lining of the stomach, so it doesn't actually start breaking down
Does
your
it
stomach
digest
lining.
itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got some bile in there, and we need to go into the small intestine. Now I need your help with this.
Right.
Would you just be able to hold up the end of our small intestines, which are represented by a pair of tights, the leg of a pair of tights.
Let's just give ourselves a bit more room here.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Ready?
So it goes from the stomach into the small intestines. Probably not that quickly in real life. It will slowly feed through. Okay,
so all this is happening without us even noticing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if we lay out the small intestines.
I'll hand that over to you.
Thank you. Now, if we have a look back on our model, and we're going to have a look at the small intestine now, because they're quite amazing as an organ. Now, if we just unravel them and have a look.
So this is our small intestine.
Yes.
Wow, it's long.
It is. It's
very,
actually
very long.
It's 6 meters long.
Wow.
Okay, so it's really, really long tube, and it needs to be that long because we need the food to take quite a long time to go through it to get out all the nutrients that we actually need. So the time it takes to go through that small intestine is a good few hours, which means we'll get everything we need from our food into our bloodstream. And it moves along this by a process called peristalsis. And what peristalsis is basically the squeezing of the muscles. So if I show you on the tights, okay, if I squeeze along the tights, okay, all the food gets pushed through. Okay, and this happens all the way through the small intestine until we get to the large intestine, which is the slightly light grey part on the model.
So this bit here, yeah?
Yeah, and the point of the large intestine is this is where all the moisture in our food and all the water gets absorbed into our bodies, so we get all the moisture that we need and all the water into our bodies rather than it coming out the other end. Okay, so as you can see from using the tights, all the water, all the moisture is coming out of the food.
That's a lot of moisture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in our bodies, all that water goes into our blood so that we can use it in our bodies.
So all the water, the juices, the teas and coffees and everything that we have is all adding to that liquid.
Absolutely. And the food we eat has quite a high water content as well. So all that water will be absorbed so that our body can use it.
So I guess if you're taking the water out of the food, what's left?
This is all the stuff that our body doesn't need. It's all the bits we can't digest. It's like a lot of the insoluble fibre in our food. And what happens is this gets stored in a part of our intestines called the rectum, which is right at the end of the large intestines, which is the dark brown part.
So all the water's getting taken out as it goes along here, and now it's reached this part here.
And that's called the rectum, okay? And once the rectum is full, it's made of muscle as well. And what happens is your body can feel that it's getting stretched there. And that's when you feel, oh, I really need to go to the toilet.
Oh, that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. So what then happens is you sit on the toilet. There is a small ring of muscle at the bottom of the rectum. And what happens is you open that ring of muscle and faeces comes out. And that process is called defecation. And that's your body getting rid of all the parts of the food that it can't use. And then it gets flushed down the toilet.
Right. So actually it's a really good system, isn't it? Because that breakfast you had this morning, it takes hours and hours and hours. It takes all the nutrients out of the food that you've eaten, takes all the moisture out, and then your body just gets rid of everything it doesn't need.
Exactly.
Fantastic system.
There we go. So that's what happens when you digest your food.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That was interesting.
Just before lunchtime.
Yeah, hopefully we haven't grossed too many people out over
Not as
before
hungry as I
lunch.
was, but it was very fun to watch, so thank you both very much. Could you quickly just explain to us what experiments and demos you'll be doing in here on Saturday, please?
Okay, so we have got one called Dinosaurs Love Bridges.
Okay.
What's in Blood.
Okay.
We've got another one called the density column.
The density
Yeah.
column,
Right.
absolutely.
Rainbow colours on that one.
Cargo boats.
Yep.
Animal bones. And we have something called the Custard Catwalk.
Yeah, it involves paddling pool. We won't say any more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And custard?
And
Possibly.
custard powder.
Yeah,
Yes.
a little custard.
Okay, well, I think that's definitely worth a look. Thank you so much for sharing this demonstration with us. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen and you want to learn more about science and do some fantastic experiments this Saturday, please register for the Lancashire Science Festival. Use the link below. If you're a school watching and you'd like to say hello, please send us a picture using the social tags below, and we'll share and retweet. Hopefully we'll see you all on Saturday. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you back here at 1:30. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.